part 2. I don't know if YouTube will let me load this or whatever like I want to. So I'm kind of dividing this up into parts, but this is part 2. So I left off at talking to the Zach Styles. Our call dropped. Then Zach texted me back and said, haha, sorry, Mama. I'm driving. Our call dropped. I'm driving through the mountains, but I'll keep you posted. After I got that text, I knew something was wrong. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that something was wrong. And there was a strong possibility that something happened to my boy. So that next day, no. I'm jumping the gun. So by the time I made it home, which is pretty much about a 25 minute drive. That was the longest drive I've ever taken. I talked to my husband. My husband had also talked to Zach. It's a blur. I can't even remember what he said. But I was like, honey, I don't trust this dude. And so I looked back before I went to sleep. Attempted to go to sleep. I looked back at my son's text messages, and I looked back at his Instagram. I looked back at all his social media platforms, and they were dry. No activity from him. He hadn't read none of his messages. He hadn't responded to any comments or anything on his Facebook or on his Instagram. The last post from my son himself on Facebook, I believe, was around August 4th or August 5th. He was saying that, hey, you guys, I'll be back up in the Bay. It's my birthday coming up, and hey, I want to hang. I want to celebrate. He was looking forward to all of that. That was the last post from Corey himself. So I'm looking at his phone is just dry. So I reach out to my grandson's mom, and I'm like, hey, have you heard from Corey? And she's like, no, I haven't heard from him. Maybe you should try this girl named Nancy that he's been talking to. And he's also around Zach, which she pretty much said straight off jump that Zach was a shady character. I was like, that I believe. So I think I had inboxed Nancy because I wasn't her friend on Facebook. I didn't know who Nancy was. So I inboxed her, but I also told my daughters, I said, can you inbox Nancy? Is she with Corey? Has she talked to him? Yada, yada, yada. So I look back before I attempt to try to sleep. I look back and see had anybody spoke with Corey. And nobody spoke with him. Nobody heard from him. He hadn't, like I said, again, viewed any messages or anything. In talking to my other children, they said the same thing. They sent him happy birthday greetings and, talking to him and everything. And he hadn't responded, which was not like him, because he always responded to his siblings and to me. Nobody heard from him. Nobody. So, next day, we still hadn't heard from him. By then, because Zach still has my son's phone, He's still texting me and everything from my son's phone. Then I'm getting inboxes from people saying that Corey, Zach was reaching out to them via my son's cell phone, via his social media platform. They also said that somebody had been viewing all of my son's social media platforms: Instagram, SoundCloud, Spotify, just all of them, Facebook, TikTok. I mean, just all of them. I'm like, let me make sure of this, because for a minute our hopes got, our hopes went up that, hey, maybe this is Corey from somewhere. Maybe he went off the grid, for a moment to regroup himself, and he's on his social media. Why he hasn't responded to us, we don't know, but maybe this is why. And so something told me before we got our hopes up. I reached out to Zach and I said, Zach, are you on my son's social media platforms? He said, yes. I said, why? He said, to see if anybody has heard from Corey. I said, are you on his SoundCloud? He was like, yes. I didn't even dignify that with a response. I'm just like, this dummy is on Corey's stuff. So my husband was like, basically, that's it. So we called the Fresno County Sheriffs. That's when we made the missing persons. And at first, they were kind of giving us the run around. Well, he's grown. Maybe he went off the grid, yada, yada, yada. Wait for this, that, and the other. And, they weren't impressed about it. So what I did is I talked to one of my sons that lived in Southern California. My son drove up to Kerman. This was on August the 9th. My son drove up to Kerman. And he called me and he said, Mom, there's no way Corey could have walked away from here. He said, the way this place is, he said, the stuff that they're saying, there is no way. He said, I don't even know how to describe it. He couldn't really describe it to me. So I said, okay. And so then my daughter and my son-in-law, they went to this area. And they were looking around. And they went to the little rinky-dink stores and all this stuff, asking, had anybody seen Corey? One place said that they did. But I believe this was before it happened, before everything happened. It was a little liquor store, a corner store. But my daughter and my son-in-law said the same thing. Mom, the way that this place is, there is no way, from what Zach is saying, that this stuff that he's saying is true.